already, and I'm so grateful you guys have persisted and come through. Today we're going to be talking about getting past the wall or blockages, and basically we need releasing techniques because walls are built up because of our own psyche being unable to get past our own thoughts and our own past, our own unworthiness, our emotions. And so we're going to teach some techniques, memories and emotions of past failures and self-unworthiness issues cause 90% of failures to getting what success that you want. And so we're going to talk about that tonight, and I'm going to have Vicki help me. She's got a real specialty in this area. I love her releasing techniques, and she's going to talk about some of this. So we're going to...
Do you want to go back with this first?
Oh, go back to the other slide?
Are you finished with this one?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're going to be done with that slide. Now this slide is just showing your mentee. They've got a wall. They kind of know what their goal is, but they can't even see it because of the wall, and they can't get to it because of the blockages. So we're going to talk about that tonight, and so you're going to be in charge.
Hello, everyone.
Yep, I'll be in charge of that.
Okay, so I hope it's okay that I join you tonight. This is something that's a big passion of mine, is to go through emotional release techniques. It's one of the things that I think are very, very important in understanding the direction that we're going to go. So there's a lot of mindset, obviously, that has to do with the emotions. Basically, our thoughts are the language of our mind, and our emotions are the language of our body. And when we have emotions that are stuck in our body, it can cause an imbalance, a dis-ease, and based upon which chakras or energy centers that they are can get locked in, can limit that different ways that we show up in the world. And so I think that emotions that are negative can really limit our ability to see where we want to go, and we get stuck in that cycle. The amygdala is there to keep us safe, of course, but when we are locked in our story of our past, our amygdala literally will lean backwards because it's locked in our past history. And we can get locked in emotional traumas that are not limited to people. They can be incidences. They can really, and sometimes those incidences are 2 or 3 moments and can stay with you for a lifetime. And so we're going to go into a lot more detail about these emotional release techniques and why they're very important. So getting a vision and getting clarity of where you want to go, it's crucial to have some emotional release. Anytime that you're going to move forward, you don't want to be anchored into your past via the negative emotions. Now, you're going to remember the negative emotions a lot more than the positive memories. You probably can recall how often you are remembering challenging experiences, but not necessarily remembering the happy ones. It's those challenging ones locked into our thoughts and our minds so that we protect ourselves that they never happen again. That's the real layman experience of that, is that we lock that in as a protection for ourselves, that we don't want to have a negative experience that we had, and so we tend to replay that over in our mind quite a bit. Go ahead. So I'm going to go over it quite a bit. Scott's going to be my little, okay. So when there's a problem, the common person will look and search for answers. They will look outside of themselves for the solution, and also the common person will also look outside of themselves for blame. And when things go awry in an interaction, we usually will point the finger at somebody else as a reason why that happened. And we also, when we have a problem that's going in our life, we tend to look outside of ourselves. But if you're in this group, you have a desire towards the ascension. You have a desire to better yourself and also with that better humanity. And so we want to encourage you to upgrade to finding the answers by listening to your inner guidance and tuning into your inner guidance to find the answers, and know that every incident is there as a blessing, as an opportunity for growth. And consciously, when we contract to come down to this planet, we don't remember how we made those contracts, and none of us on the conscious level would make really challenging experiences. Like Scott and I, we've had horrendous health issues and concerns, but we know that we contracted for that, and we contracted for these experiences and challenges to help wake us up and to help us be of service, and to learn greater skills of compassion and kindness and generosity and presence and healing. And I believe that everyone is healing on some level. And so I'm going to encourage that you look within for your answers. So the ways that we can look within in connection with the divine, meditation is something that, I'm sure Scott has mentioned a few times, and most of you, if not all of you, recognize the value of meditation. Is that inner stillness and that inner ability to awaken and to calm the system and to really listen to the inner guidance. Visualization is obviously really good. I encourage with visualization. There's one thing about visualization that's important to remember, that when there's two ways that we can visualize an experience, and when you look at an experience and you visualize the new direction that you're going, if you're visualizing this experience as a witness of say a movie that you're creating, and you're seeing yourself in an experience, and I'll give the example of being in a healthy relationship with someone, and you witness that person is, yes, it's recording. Feel free to walk in front of me though.
Sorry.
That you witness that experience as a witness rather than experiencing it. So you're an external vision. You're not going to have quite as many results with that as quickly as a result as if in a visualization that you activate all of your senses and you visualize as a member of that experience. And so in that healthy relationship, you can feel that relationship, you can see yourself in what you're wearing and how you engage with life. So that's just a tip about the visualization. Energy clearing, most of you know that Scott does that quite a bit. We believe in a lot of energy clearing. It's important to know that static energy in and around us and in our homes, it can come in with people that are visitors. It can come in when we're agitated. So clear the energy of your environment. Be of service to others. It's important to be of service. When you're in a state of service, you're looking outside of yourself rather than focusing on your own problems. Forgiveness is going to be something I'm going to talk about a little bit more down the way, but forgiveness is really important. Forgive yourself, forgive others, know that and believe that everything is benefiting us. We're here to experience, and sometimes these experiences are challenging, but they're here to awaken us. And in that forgiveness of self, just recognize you did the best you could with the tools that you had. And that's the case with most people under the circumstances. People really do want to do well, and if there's an error in judgment, then that usually will show up because there's different extra circumstances that could cause that. And then nurture relationships. We're not here on this planet to be alone, and we're not here to go it alone. Relationships are a great opportunity for your own soul advancement, because there's no greater way to see how you are affected by things than by different relationships. And then prayer and ho'oponopono. So I'm going to invite you to stay on that side.
I'll stay on this side.
Okay, so gratitude and forgiveness. The more gratitude that you bring into your life, the more forgiveness will open up as a possibility, and then the more forgiveness that you bring into your life, the more you're open to gratitude. So before going to bed each night, make a list of 5 things that you're grateful for. Many of you have heard this before, but there's a lot of reason for that. You want to go to bed at night with purpose and with gratitude, and just reflecting on the day, on how the day went for you, and go to bed in a peaceful state. And then one of the things I like to do when I have clients that aren't moving forward they have some emotions that are struggling, then I encourage them to make a list of 100 things that they're grateful for. It's easy to come up with 5 or 6, 10, but having 100, you're going to have to search a little bit harder. So that's a really great one as a mentor, that you encourage them to have 100 reasons why they want to get their goal, 100 reasons why their relationship's benefiting them, 100 reasons why they want to get in better health, 100 reasons why they have the relationships they have. Any of these 100, it seems like it's a little bit large to look at, but it forces them to look outside of themselves, and it forces them to look beyond the simple ones that we're going to find naturally.
And remember, gratitude vibrates in unconditional love, so it brings them that energy, especially at night. We need that energy at bedtime.
So forgiveness, the way that I coin forgiveness is it's no longer holding the person or the incident hostage in your thoughts. Now, it doesn't mean that you give them permission to be what they are, and it doesn't mean that you think that what they did is okay now and that you're going to allow anything to go on. It's just forgiveness for yourself and for the environment is you're no longer sending that negative charge, and you're no longer holding that negative charge in yourself. So that's, to me, that's what forgiveness is just moving on in the way that there's not held hostage in your thoughts. So give yourself permission to change your perception and recognize that every person and thing is purposeful. And so choose to see what is here to teach you. And know that, we're here as a soul, we're here to experience, to learn, and to grow. And so that's going to happen through our experiences.
Yeah, and remember too, self-forgiveness is vital to help you be the teacher and know that you are worthy, and forgive yourself for everything, because boy, I tell you, if we can't forgive ourselves, we can't get others to help forgive themselves.
Okay, so I'm going to go over some release techniques. Humanity as a whole is not trained in release techniques. Most children aren't trained in how to let go of negative emotions. We have emotions that come in all the time. Our energy can shift all of the time, and our body is not a holding station. Our blood moves, our digestion moves, thoughts move through, but emotions tend to get held and we get stuck. And unless we're consciously engaged in the emotional release, they can weigh us down and so and store in our body. So emotions that are linked, emotions today, they can often be linked to last week, last year, many years, and throughout childhood if you have not consciously let go. So in emotional release, just know that emotions as a mentor, that's the first place you're going to look as when people are stalling in their success, is you're going to look at their emotional input and output. And so see, feel, write, and movement. I'm going to go into a little bit more of that, but that's something you really want to listen for in a conversation with your mentee, is what emotions are coming out. And then, you can go deeper into the questions with that and ask them why they feel that way. What's a different word they can use for that? And sometimes they would use a different word to, not that their emotions necessarily different, but it gives you a deeper understanding as to what they're really experiencing. And a lot of times their memories will come up. So you can also go into, is there a memory that's associated with that emotion? And then, usually those are the ones that are going to be further back. And, one of the things I like to do is with my clients, when they're talking about an emotion, I will ask them if that emotion has a color. Because if it has a color, two of the things that you can relate with that is usually the color can associate with the different chakras or the energy centers, and the different colors, can give you a more depth, and they can kind of feel those a little bit more. And then I also ask them to give me a temperature. One of the clues with temperature is if it's hot, if it's a warmer or hot, if it's a really boiling hot, or it burns them, or just like it's intense, then it's an emotion that's very recent. And if it's cold or dark, then in the color black, dark gray, any dark colors or cold, it's usually something in their history. So that's just something to be mindful of. Okay, so I know you've heard about the walk and talk. That's something we use a lot. We use this personally a lot. It's really fascinating when we build our home. We have a hill right behind our home, and it's perfect for me to go up there. You've heard it, but I'm going to go over it a little bit. But you take 15 minutes, you leave your door, and you vent out loud. It's important to use your voice, because when you have emotions that are stuck, you need to help pull those out. And using your voice is going to be a healthy way to do that. And so you want to release, talk about what's wrong, talk about the challenge, talk about what you're feeling. Use the words of emotion that you're feeling, and encourage your mentees as well. But this walk and talk, you release and get it out. And then when you get to 15 minutes, or when you've said everything that you feel like you can, I think it's really healthy just to brush all that residue off the physical body. So I encourage my clients, brush it off, shake it off, and then go into prayer is really good. Go into connect to your divine source, your mighty I am presence, and then choose to change your perception and say, okay, now if this was an opportunity versus a challenge, it's a different language, but it changes the perception and raises your frequency. So go into a space of opportunity, and then spend the next 15 minutes in hope, be positive, and be engaging in what if this, and what if I could do this, and what if I could do this. And these are all helpful ways to do that, but just be prepared that emotions can come up. This is purposeful. So another one is journaling. I really believe the power of journaling. I take notes. If you were in my home, you would see notes everywhere. I'm a ferocious writer with that, but at least once a day, you can do the write and burn. You can do inspirational notes. You can connect with your divine presence and ask them if there's a message, anything that can just give you some connection to help move energy.
Yeah, and sometimes there's another deeper part. So if you don't feel like it's releasing, keep doing it, and it will come up what's going on.
Yeah. Okay, so another thing that is very important is mending relationships. Now this can be in person, it can be soul to soul. The person doesn't have to be near you. Sometimes that person is crossed over. Sometimes you may not feel comfortable to have that conversation. And I will tell you, as a mentor, don't underestimate the power of their childhood peers. You would be surprised how many times their childhood peers are part of their influence still today in their high school, middle school. Don't underestimate that. Just because it was 20 or 30 or 40 years ago, they're still in that table of influence. It's still influencing their decision making. And I notice it for myself, even of all the work I do. There's very specific people in my school, and it wasn't even people that say bullied me or picked on me. It was just maybe that person is somebody that I feel may potentially judge me, that I catch myself with that. So don't underestimate the school peers. That's a big one as a mentor. Pay attention to that. Another one is clear clutter out of your house. Out of your mind, your internal and your external environment. As you know, clutter weighs you down, and it's stuff from our past. So get rid of it, clear it out, open up space for more mental clarity, more emotional clarity, and then detoxing your body. Clean food equals clean body and mind. Okay, releasing techniques. By the way, we're going to send ones that we send to our private mentoring clients. There's going to be more in depth, and a lot of these techniques are also in my book, and so there's more information with that, but I'm going to go over a couple here. We're almost at the 20-minute mark, but one is singing. Use your voice. Again, it's emotional release is giving yourself permission to stand in using your it's all value, and it's about your personal value, and using your voice will open up this fifth chakra. So you can do happy songs, sad songs, you can do quiet songs, loud songs, but you want to use your voice. And 95% of the time, I don't like intense music. Even if it's a happy music, that can kind of scatter my energy. But sometimes I need a little bit of intensity if I feel an intense moment inside of me, and that helps break that up. Another thing that you